For my world music class, I was asked to study a local music movement in Peterborough, Ontario. I decided I wanted to make a documentary on a band called the Silver Hearts. I'd heard them play a few times, but unfortunately I didn't know much about them. How was I supposed to come up with a theme for my movie? I was lost. I needed help, and most of all, I needed advice. So I hit the streets looking for it. My first question was who?
Because everybody would be good, for some reason or another. For straight up information about the group, Trevor or Chuck. For sheer entertainment value, Tom Reeder.
The theremin player.
You would what?
I would feature the theremin player prominently in the movie.
But Tom always has something really interesting to say, so.
I think you should. I think you should get a small camera that you can duct tape to your head. And I think you should get a 6-hour tape for that camera, and I think you should come out and you should just be part of the audience. Just like, you know, wear a giant turban or a bandage and pretend you got hit in the head or something. And I think you should just kind of hang out there and drink beer and talk to the people who show up. I think you should do that for a night. And I think you should wear exactly the same getup the next week. Say, oh, your head's still hurting, only play fiddle with us all night and drink as much beer. And be the one up on stage, trying to stay upright and catch your breath and remember what key the song's in.
Wyatt Burton. He's a very slender, red-headed male.
What's he like?
And he's nuts. And he's the best guitar player I've ever heard in my life.
Why?
The sounds he can make with that instrument blow me away continually. And there's always something different every week, something unexpected. It's uncanny what he can do. And playing, strumming along, and then playing with the volume dials and playing up above the neck and doing all sorts of things. He's a quintessential performer. He was born to do that, I think.
Why?
He's just, you can't take your eyes off him. Like, that's who you notice. Especially in his other bands, too. Jumping on tables and kicking people's beer over and hurting himself in general.
I've known Jesse since I was 13 and he was 12. We've played in a bunch of bands together, and he's a heck of a guy. Best theremin player in town.
Hey. Why should Jesse be in the film? And how should Jesse be in the film?
Jesse's got a hell of a chin. And the ladies like him.
Jesse? Jesse Pilgrim. Well, I have to say I'm jealous because he's the only one who doesn't need a stage name because his name is already cool enough. And anybody who buys a theremin in kit form and puts it together and tries to learn how to play it well, you know, that's some nuts.
I would especially put Emily in the movie because she's, I don't know. There's something about Emily, and I can't put my finger on it, but she, I don't know. There's a certain spirit about Emily that's just, I can't put my finger on it. I really like Em. She's tough, but she's for real, you know? Mm-hmm. She's good. I really like Emily. Mm-hmm.
Most charismatic person interviewed? Pat Walsh.
Do you think Pat would be? Why?
He's beautiful and unusual.
Do you think he'd be a good person to film too?
Absolutely. He's very photogenic.
On stage?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He always takes good pictures.
Really?
He's a good looking guy. That's why.
What is he like on stage?
Animated. Even though he's sitting down, he's very animated. He's always stomping his feet on the ground or putting his hand up in the air or yelling along.
Patrick's been very good about lending his instruments. Dave plays Patrick's banjo, and Patrick gave Jesse an amp to plug his theremin into, and he gave Mike a dobro to play too. So Pat's basically set the band up with instruments. Mike, Slim. Mike would come and see the band, and he'd sit front row every week when we played. And Mike's been a player for years, and I've watched him, you know, tackling different styles of music and pursue music. You know, with all his heart. He's very passionate about music.
Jim Gleason we got as sort of a mentor. He was one of the 3 founding members, and he's played for years and years and years. And again, such a talented musician and singer. And we got him on board for leadership purposes, and he helped us. I learned so much from Jim. And he's a true silver heart. If ever there was one, it's him.
Really? Was he one of the first guys?
Yeah. It was Trevor and myself and Jim. And he's a secret dude.
Jay is... It's hard to talk about my cousin Jay because he's like, I don't know, we're like brothers, you know, we're only a month apart in age, and we've always been really close. So it's hard to be kind of objective about him as a bandmate. Now, he's logically a really good choice for the band because I know he's played with polka bands and wedding bands and country bands and metal bands and, you know, blues bands. He's played in just about every setting you can think of for a drummer to play in.
Why would I put Chuck in the movie? Because he's a handsome devil and he's got charisma at his yin-yang. Yeah. And he's also a school teacher, so he knows how to conduct himself in a personable manner in front of a camera.
Well, Dave's a really interesting person. I would like to film him just to find out a bit more about what makes him tick.
Dave would be in my movie because, oh, it sounds so cliche, but because he's real. So he doesn't want to have anything to do with being in a movie, probably. So if you get him in the movie, chances are you've got Dave on film.
Well, ladies like Dave tough.
Anybody in the whole world, I'd want Stephen Hawking and the original cast of Hair.
Joe Pesci. I'd have him in the movie. Starring as Wyatt Burton.
Merle Haggard.
Merle Haggard. All right.
Maybe Waylon Jennings. I don't know.
I would have definitely some train robbers and some samurai too.
Well, Stephen Hawking's really a cool guy because, well, that's a whole other story. But the entire it's a dream of mine to put on a production of Hair in the Peterborough Square Mall without anybody knowing it until it happens. So I wouldn't mind talking to them about it. You know, it's how they did it.
I think, it would be a close call between Clint Eastwood and Robert Downey Jr. Clint Eastwood would have the Western feel, and he'd be all the stony face. And Robert Downey Jr. could try that, but he'd probably get really drunk and talk too much while he was doing it. And if he pulled out some heroin and guns, well, that would just be celebrity at its best. I mean,
lots of people that have nothing to do with bands.
You didn't get so far.
Maybe people that are hard to keep on camera.
The Reverend Jesse Jackson and that's it. The entire cast of Hair, Reverend Jesse Jackson and Stephen Hawking.
Maybe get the train going by General Electric.
Hey. Okay.
My theory, Jenny, is, as I was discussing beforehand, that you should try and film members of the band doing the weirdest things that they do while they're playing their instruments. They're like, the parts where they can't contain themselves and they spaz out. We've seen like a bunch of spaz outs tonight. Hopefully we've captured them.
Maybe a car chase, an explosion, and some wah-wah pedal. A la Starsky and Hutch, I guess.
Okay.
of 5 of the finest robotic musicians in the history of human nature. These boys have been together jamming out for a long time. The picture is set, the stage is won, and we've done it. They've done it. Thank you.
So what would you make the movie on, Roger?
I'd make the movie on filming a guy in a bar talking about a great band.
Yeah.
I thought you already knew what you were going to make the movie on.
No. You doing that? That's perfect.
I'd like to make a movie about the Silver Hearts just because ever since I joined the band, I've wanted to quit the band so that I could watch the band play. Honestly, there have been times when I just want to walk off the stage and go have a beer with everybody else and see what the hell's going on, because I don't know. I think that would be cool.
Hey, think about the Silver Hearts. This actually has nothing to do with the Silver Hearts except for the fact that they use a theremin. And Leon Theremin is the inventor of electronic music. And they're incorporating the first of electronic music with some really old school styles, which is really cool. So investigate the theremin.
I wouldn't mind doing a prison tour and filming that. I go up to Kingston P4W or some maximum security joints like Johnny Cash did. Or
Why?
I don't know. I just think it'd be. I think it'd be an interesting thing to film.
Prison.
Oh yeah, prison's a good idea.
The Great Pyramid at Giza.
Maybe in the Wild West, an old saloon or something like that. Or somewhere ridiculous. On a raft and going, like just go toward Niagara Falls or something. I have no idea.
I think it'd be cool to set up in an old ghost town or something like that. To make a film with this band on the site of an old mining town or something.
Yeah.
I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Or in some rainy, scuzzy district in an old city in the States.
I would film a documentary on the Silver Hearts. A booze can, or like someone's basement.
Why?
Yeah. Well, why not? I don't know.
I think you should film at the Montreal House. That's sort of our house gig, so to speak. I mean, we're lucky to have it, but it's definitely, it's where it takes place. No, I've heard different people say that we sound better at the Gordon Best, and you know, as a performer, I think we sound better at the Gordon Best just because we have monitors and everybody in the band has a mic on and stuff like that. But I think for the authentic sort of tavern experience, you have to go to the Montreal House.
I would go to everyone's hometown and ask 2 or 3 people on the street about that individual. Or if they didn't remember that person, I'm from a small town, so that's what I would do for me and for Emily. A lot of people are from Peterborough, so the people who are from out of town in the band, I'd go to their hometown just to get a sense of where they grew up.
All the cool places in Peterborough have been turned into old folks' homes.
There's about 3 different sides to that, the music that we play. There's, and I think that's sort of because of, because Chuck adds his own thing. He has sort of a Tom Waits old-time piano thing going on. Trevor adds a bit of a juke joint kind of rhythm and blues, old blues thing, and Wyatt adds a bit of a spacey kind of quirky guitar thing, which I think all the elements really come together. So I would describe it as something of a mix of all those 3 elements, so space, country, blues.
I don't know. At times it's like funeral music. It's like if a band, you know, it sounds tasteless, but if a band could play an Irish wake, we'd be the band playing there, I think. Pat Walsh described it as forgotten music. I think that's fairly accurate.
I think it spans a pretty wide, like a lot of genres. Like I think there's a lot of old Western music in there. I think there's some old ragtime music. There's a lot of new, like it's a real New Orleans jazz kind of feel to it, like old time New Orleans jazz. There's a lot of weird kind of like. There's a lot of weird stuff like that. Like we do an Ozzy Osbourne cover, but we do it kind of like weird western-y surf style, kind of like it just there's so many genres being touched on, like a lot of blues, like country blues. Whenever anyone asks me, I tell them we play forgotten music, because it's a lot of songs that people have like forgotten about, and a lot of stuff that they just wouldn't know anyway. So because Chuck wrote it, you know. So yeah.
I think Pat put it best when he calls it forgotten music, because we kind of cross over a lot of genres. Well, as you know, I would call it old Western music, I guess.
Everybody was so helpful. In just a few weeks, I got all the ideas I needed and more. Now I know exactly what I should do my documentary on, so I guess I'd better start.